Okay. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Patrick Hoeffel. I am with a company called Perficient. We have a booth just outside the door and to the left. Number 11, you'll see our big sign at the end. Perficient is a full-service consultancy in data and AI. Saving lives through the American Red Cross is our swag. And saving your business from uninformed AI implementations is our mission. So today I want to talk about doubling your productivity through three simple GenAI strategies. When I was little, I really loved chocolate chip cookies. And I loved chocolate chip cookies so much, in fact, that sometimes my brother and I would come home from school and grab the bag of Nestle's Toll House chocolate chips, and we would make a batch of cookies, never bake them, just dive into the bowl and eat the dough. It was fantastic. Eventually, I memorized the recipe, but there was always a recipe. So does anyone know what happens when you don't use the recipe? Just a hunch. What happens is you don't get cookies. Or if you do get cookies, they're awful. I once went off book making a very simple white cake, and I thought I would be super cool because it called for a cup of vegetable oil. And I thought, hey, I'll be Mr. I don't know what. I'll use olive oil because that's cool. Well, it might have been, and I did get a cake, but it was the most awful, disgusting cake you can imagine. I threw the whole thing out. So in a similar way, following a tried and true recipe when prompting your LLMs is a great way to get a predictable result. Speaking of predictability, here are a few strategies that you can use to improve that. Strategy number 1, use longer prompts and be as specific as you can be. LLMs know a lot. They have a whole world of knowledge at their disposal, but they don't always have the best ability to pick and choose exactly which bits of that knowledge to apply to your problem. So using longer prompts means be as specific, because to be specific, you have to use more context. So one example I built not too long ago, I said to ChatGPT, generate a login dialog in React. And dutifully, it actually did that, but the number of choices that it had to make, and assumptions really that it had to make about how exactly to structure this login dialog, there were very many assumptions that it made. So I tried a second prompt that was a little bit more specific. Now I know this is hard to read because there's a lot of words up there, but essentially I'm saying to the LLM, okay, I'm going to give you a lot more context about how to do exactly what I'm asking you to do. And so you are a senior software engineer with 20 years of UI experience. I want you to create a login dialog for an e-commerce application. I want you to use React, JavaScript, and Tailwind for styles. And I want you to output a single JSX file. Big difference between these two prompts in terms of the specificity, and the output was illustrative of that difference. There's a third example that I want to show you that take it to another level, and that is use an LLM to generate the prompt to then produce the output. So it's a little meta, I know, and nod to anyone who might be from Meta, but special nod to Brian Albert, who actually wrote this prompt, and this is actually the first half of the prompt. And it's not how to build a dialogue. The prompt says how to structure a prompt. And what Brian Albert did was he created this acronym called CRAFT. CRAFT stands for context, role, action, format, and target audience. So what you will see when I jump to page 2 of the prompt, the context. This is sort of the general neighborhood of what I want you to make. The role, hey LLM, you are going to operate in the role of, in this case, a software engineer. Action, what is it you want the LLM to do? Format, what's the output structure? Maybe it's JSON, maybe it's XML, maybe it's CSV, maybe it's just text. Whatever it is, tell it what you want the output format to be, because otherwise it's going to guess, right? And you're just going to get text and you'll get what you get. And then target audience, for whom are you making this output? So the last bit is, the interesting thing is you can copy this whole prompt, just paste it in, and it says in the instructions, if I don't tell you the topic, ask me for the topic. So I pasted the prompt, I ran it, it said, hey, okay, I'll do what you say, but what's the topic? So I said, the topic is a coding topic. The exceptional prompt you're about to write will result in the creation of a login dialog for a React e-commerce web application where elegance, simplicity, usability, and testability are all valued highly. So now what it's going to do is not generate a code, it's going to generate a prompt that will generate code. 4 pages, this prompt. But it gave me exactly what I asked for. So the first line, craft prompt, this is a craft prompt for creating an exceptional React login dialog for an e-commerce application. And here's the context, like this whole paragraph. Here's the role. The role that you're operating in is an industry-leading senior front-end developer. What's the action that you're going to take? It's to generate this dialogue. And then it kind of, instead of going off the rails, it went beautifully exactly into what it would have to do. So what's the structure of the dialogue? What's the component implementation? What's the form handling and validation that it should use? What's the accessibility and usability requirements for this thing? Error handling and user feedback, testing strategy. I didn't really specify any of that stuff, but it provided that for me, again, as the prompt. Here's the output format, a single JSX file I can put in my application, and then the target audience, another paragraph. Whew. So it was beautiful. Here's 63 lines on the right-hand side of JavaScript code and the actual dialogue that it produced. It's kind of a Mickey Mouse example, but this craft-styled prompt will work as well for code as it will for a blog post or an article or whatever it is you want it to do. And hats off to Brian Albert for generating it. One of the earlier slides, actually, he has a YouTube video and his website has the full text on it. So in summary, the more explicit you are about exactly what you want the LLM to do and not do, gives you a more likelihood of getting a proper chocolate chip cookie versus a really disgusting, inedible olive oil cake. So the craft method is as reliable as the Nestle Toll House chocolate chip cookie recipe on the back of the bag. Do you have to use a 10-mile long prompt? No, of course not. I think we all know you don't have to. The question is, do you want the more predictable, more reliable outcomes, or do you want to kind of roll the dice with the LLM? I actually tested several LLMs. And the thing is, if you do the same prompt against 10 different LLMs, you're even odds you're going to get 10 different answers. It's not like, and even if you send the same prompt to the same LLM 5 times in a row, there's no guarantee you're going to get the same answer. So if you want to increase your odds of a result that you're going to be happy with, be more specific and tell it exactly what you do and don't want. Okay. Progressive generation, prompt strategy number 2, or treat your LLM like a 5-year-old. So it's been interesting today listening to people talk about how smart these things are and how amazing the results are that you can get from an LLM. And here I am saying, hey, maybe treat it like a 5-year-old. Well, so my kids used to be little. They're not little anymore, but When I had a 5-year-old, the idea of giving my 5-year-old a chocolate chip cookie recipe and saying, hey, will you mix up some cookies with a power tool? There's no way, right? I would give them, get some flour, put it in the mixer, get some butter, put it in the mixer, get some sugar, put it in the mixer, right? And that's the level at which a 5-year-old gets very specific instructions and delivers a very specific result. With an LLM, sort of to the same point, if you're very prescriptive about what you want and what you don't want, and you do it in the right order, you're more likely to get the right result. So here are some suggestions. Assume your LLM has a very short attention span, sort of like cooking with a 5-year-old. Start a new conversation thread every time your topic changes. The context windows are growing. We've seen that. The memory footprint within the LLM is growing. We've seen that. And yet, if you have a huge context window and you have a long memory, and then you change the topic, it's going to draw from that context and from that memory. And if you're asking a new question, it's going to assume you want the answer from your previous context. So if you're changing the conversation, create a new thread and start fresh. Think paragraph, not chapter. Think function more than class, and certainly not system. If you want a specific result, give it a specific request. Okay, I love to ideate with my LLMs to ask large, open-ended questions, and we have interesting conversations, and that's fine. However, I was working with Claude 3.7 the other day with windsurf, and it was great. And I would say, I want you to do this thing. Is that a good idea? And it would say, yes, that's a brilliant idea. Here's all the reasons why. And then I would ask it to do another thing, and I would say, is that cool? And it would say, that's awesome. You're so smart. And I'm thinking, I love Claude. I want to take Claude on vacation with me. And then after a little while of how brilliant I was, I started to realize it's telling me what I want to hear. And I know it's affirming and it's being kind and all that, but when I started asking without prompting, without leading the question, I would say, give me best practices for a certain area without suggesting what I thought the right answer was so that it wouldn't be able to agree with me. I started getting a little bit more challenged answers. And so, take it for what it's worth, but I have found, and maybe your mileage may vary, but I have found that it tends to say what I want to hear more than not. So I try and stay as neutral as I can in the prompts that I write so that I can take the best knowledge that the LLM can offer me in order to produce a result. So in summary, treat your LLM like a 5-year-old and be very prescriptive and specific. Last item, data wrangling. Here's some suggestions. LLMs, who's found this? LLMs generate great test data. They produce variability and samples that are awesome. I used to keep a database of people's names so that I could generate combinations of test data randomized, but I don't have to do that anymore because I can just ask an LLM and it will generate test data. Use it to clean, format, or organize your data. Awesome. Use it to comment your code. The coder who follows behind you will thank you for that one. Generate user stories. Your Scrum Master will love you for having it do that. Generate unit tests. There's no excuse anymore for not having a well-covered software solution because an LLM can generate a wide variety of unit tests with a variety of input and boundary condition test values, and it's the right way to go. This is one simple example. A few days ago, I fetched this PDF from the USDA, and it's a whole bunch of food-related information, and each one of these little things has 2 pieces of data, and I wanted it in CSV format. I was not going to retype all this, especially not with some of the words up here that I can't pronounce, let alone spell. So I said, please convert these items to CSV, and I dumped the whole copied thing in, and sure enough, out came a really nicely formatted CSV. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I need an ID value on the left and a common name on the right. Can you do that for me too? Sure enough, ID value, common name, and it saved me, I don't know, I mean, the 3 minutes it took to do this versus the hour and a half I would have spent typing and formatting, it was a game changer for me. So in summary, you can use an LLM for data wrangling beautifully. To recap the whole thing, use longer prompts and be specific, even letting the LLM generate your prompt for you. Keep each thread focused, treat your LLM like a 5-year-old, use GenAI as a data wrangler, and then as a freebie, be polite. Research shows your LLM will respond better to you. Harvard Business Review published that one. So that's all I have. We're Perficient. We're out in the booth to the left outside the door. And if you stop by, we will make a donation to the American Red Cross in your honor, because saving lives is our swag and saving your business is our mission. Thanks. Any questions before we go to break? Perficient is a full-service digital consultancy. So we're a 8,000 person consulting company with a large AI and data organization, and we would love to have a conversation with you about what we do and how we can help you. Yes? Yeah, so the question's about it telling you what you want to hear. Actually asking the LLM to take a contrarian view and say, what's wrong with what are the top 3 reasons this is a bad idea? And it actually will accommodate and tell you what's wrong if you ask it to. But if you don't ask it to, it can be easy to get down into the weeds. Anyone else? Thank you very much.